Hey y'all. Well, it's almost July. It's the end of June. And I was thinking, you know, that whole Christmas in July thing might be of interest. The next Christmassy ornament that I want to make is using this round plastic ball that I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to be decoupaging it, but I would like to divide it into 5 equal pieces. So, a lot of times I don't narrate my videos when I don't feel like it's necessary to explain. I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. But this one, I think we probably need to do that because I want to show you how really easy it is to divide something like this into however many sections you want, and then how I go about making a template for the decoupage paper that I'm going to use. So I don't know whether I'm going to put this in the front of the video or whether I'm going to make this a separate video. Probably separate, so it won't be so long. So, how to divide a ball into 5 equal parts. Let's do it. To begin with, I'm going to use my junky piece of parchment paper here, and I'm just going to cut me a strip along the edge. I need something that's going to be long enough to wrap the circumference of the ball. So you could use paper, you could use whatever. Paper's easy for me. You could even use a ribbon, I suppose. Now, talk about the ball for a minute. We're going to call this the North Pole, and we're going to call this little indent here the South Pole. It would be nice if there was an equator, but there isn't. The way these are made, the seam is actually running from pole to pole and not along the equator. So the first thing I want to do is try to find kind of the center, my equator, and mark it on the ball in a few places. The easiest way I find to do that is with one of these flexible sewing rulers. So I'm going to kind of put that where it would be in the center, come down here and measure 6. Let's just cheat. It's 6 5/8, but that's going to get kind of wonky. So let's say 6 1/2. So where's my pencil? Half of 6 1/2. Half of 6 is 3. Half of a half is a 1/4. So 3 1/4. So I'm going to measure up from the South Pole. Hold that. 3 1/4. And it's a dot more because remember it was actually 6 5/8. So I'm going to go around and do that in a few places. 3 1/4 plus a smidgen more. Okay, got that part done. Now we're going to take our little strip. I'm going to use the selvage edge, the edge that's straight, not my cut edge that's crooked. So I'm going to line this up on the little lines that I just drew of my equator, or attempt to. You know what? My hands aren't big enough to hold it, so I'm going to use a little bit of tape just to help me keep it in place. So it doesn't slide. And we get back around here to where we were. make a mark. Okie dokie. Might need that again, I don't know. So let's cut our strip. And we will measure to see how long this strip is. And it's a hair over a foot. So let's see what that little piece is. About 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to say the circumference equals 12 1/8 inches. But I'm also going to do something else, because a lot of times working in our American standard system of inches is more difficult than working in metric, because metric is a base 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to do this. That is, well, there's 30. So let's do that. And I'll mark that as 30 centimeters. And then let's see how much is left from here to there is a centimeter. So it's 31 centimeters. So in the metric, it's 31 centimeters. We'll show you why. I'll show you why in a minute, why it's going to be easier to work in centimeters. The next thing we have to do is divide those numbers by 5, because we want 5 equal parts. And the first thing we have to do, if we want to use inches, the first thing we have to do is convert the fraction 1/8 to a decimal. Obviously, it's 1 divided by 8, which is 1.125. So that actually equals 12.125 inches. So we're going to take 12.125 inches and divide that into 5 equal parts, which equals 2.425. Now, how would we convert 425 into a fraction? Well, I mean, it's 425 divided by 1,000, 10, 100 thousands, and then you'd have to reduce it and all that jazz. Basically, it would be 42.5 hundredths. I mean, seriously, it's not quite a half an inch. We could do that. We could measure like not quite a half an inch, but let's do something different. Let's go to the metric. 31 centimeters divided by 5 is 6 centimeters and 0.2. Metric is in tens, so that's 2 millimeters. 6 centimeters, 2 millimeters. Now, you tell me. I think in this case, going with this number, then guessing around this number, this is more efficient. So I'm going to lay my ruler down here. Oh, might help if I turn it around to centimeters. Habit. Okay, 6 centimeters. It's not very sharp. 6 centimeters and 2 millimeters. Hang on, I got to sharpen this pencil. Okay. Six centimeters and 2 millimeters. Let's just see. And we're right on the mark. Easy, easy peasy. So let's make our lines better. Now we go back to our ball and we retape at the equator. Okay, I can hold that one. I'm going to use my marker. And I'm going to mark all 5 spots. Okie dokie. Now we can use this, we can use the tape measure. This is a little sturdier, so I might want to do that. And I'm going to start. It doesn't really matter, I don't have to put it in the center anymore, I just need an edge. Lining up like that's the center of the North Pole. Come down to the center of my South Pole. Come on, cooperate. Oops. Okay. There we go. There's one. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next step, we need to make a pattern for the pieces. One piece, they're all the same size, or should be close to it. So we need to pattern for this. I like to use, well, I like to use parchment paper, but I can't start with parchment paper really. I mean, I guess I could try, but it's a little harder because it's stiffer. Okay, well, okay, now we're going to have, see, this is why I don't like to use parchment paper first go around, because tape doesn't stick to it. Just grab a napkin here. Okay, back to what I was doing. Now we know on a round surface, when you decoupage, you are going to have to make cuts and seam. So the tracing part of this can be a little wonky. Just going to kind of hold it, move, and keep moving my napkin flat. Let's test it. Stand to be a little bit longer on the top. Goes over the side on this side. Let's see if it does on the rest of them. So it's too wide. Test one more time. I'm going to pause here for a moment, and I will be inserting a video clip actually that's in the next video, and I'll explain the reason why. I should not have trimmed that pattern just like I just did, more narrowly, because it ended up not quite, the pieces not quite touching each other, and I had to leave a gap. That was okay, and you'll see why in a moment. But here's the video clip of what I should have done prior to cutting out the decoupage paper. And I only did it after I'd cut it out, but luckily before I had decoupaged the paper onto the ball. I just wanted to point something out here for a moment. You probably noticed that when I was decoupaging the ball that I had a gap between each of these pieces. Well, it's because I realized that initially when I was making my pattern, if you watch that video, you saw that I had folded it. I thought it was too wide and I had trimmed it. I should not have trimmed it. What I should have done was check this way. I should have folded it. Well, so that would be in half, because this is cut out for where the North Pole is. So it would, half would be where it would go to the point. Now, at this juncture right here, let's measure, because remember my circumference, each piece was 6.2 centimeters. In fact, we can just look like right here, instead of looking at the ruler. If I put this right on this, see what I trimmed off? I trimmed off about 2 millimeters, maybe a little less. I should not have trimmed that. If I hadn't have trimmed it, these would have met. It didn't really matter because I was putting castings in the seams, and I knew that I was going to put castings in the seams, so that part didn't matter. But I just wanted to point out that if you need it absolutely touching, double check your pattern piece against, in the center of your pattern piece, double check it against your width, because it needs to be exactly that wide if you want these to touch. Otherwise, do like I did and put a little gap between each of your decoupage pieces. Yep, that's looking much better. Okie dokie. So now I can just use this as my piece, or I can cut it out of paper or parchment paper, which I will just do. Need this to be a little bit taller. And we're going to say 5-piece pattern for 31 centimeter circumference ornament. Now we have our pattern for the paper. And we will move on to making our ornament.